Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to Freedom Harvest Farms. My name of course is Aislinn Campbell, and on the back side of the screen, something new. My friend Jennifer's back there. Thank you, Jennifer, for coming over and helping me out. She came out last night and we made a nice dinner together, and we also recorded the podcast together. So the podcast will be going live tomorrow, or will be going out tomorrow, the episode 433. And I'll give you a little bit more details about some of the big changes that are happening in my life and here at Freedom Harvest Farms. You guys know that every week there's something going on, and you've been with me for the last 3 years, so you know that change has happened and change does happen, and that's just what it is. And so we're moving forward with that idea, but we're also moving forward with the idea that it is absolutely beautiful and amazing spring. It's gorgeous here at Freedom Harvest Farms. We're going to make our way around the gardens here in just a little bit. But in the moment, right now, over the last couple of weeks, we've been doing a series that you guys know about. We've been talking about the 5 principles of regenerative agriculture. Today we're talking about the 4th principle of regenerative agriculture, and that is integrating livestock. Integrating livestock is really important because, number one, it helps you to increase the crop rotation ability and to bring animals into one of the rotations that you use in your management of your fields, your gardens, and even your pastures. It also helps us to bring in a lot of the biodiversity. Now, we talk about that every week, how important bringing in different biodiversity is. They're going to be helping with the soil structure. Partially the way that they move around. Like, these guys are going to be digging up dirt and picking out different types of biodiversity, and they're also going to be leaving their dung. And then of course the cattle and sheep and all of those, the ducks, everything else has another different way that it presses and takes from the soil and contributes to the biodiversity as well. So integrating livestock into your regenerative practice is an essential part of it. One of the ways we do that, you guys saw this last week and we talk about this regularly, is that we use a chicken tractor and chunnels with a CH, so like chicken tunnels. And so we keep the ladies in here and we move them over from the main run and coop in this crate, and then I just bring them in over here each week. So I've got this, and she is not happy about this right now. She is a Americana chicken. These are the ones that lay the blue eggs. She's what they call an Easter egger. So I'm going to go ahead and put her in. And then this gal over here, she's fancy. She is a lavender Orpington, and she lays almost like a purple egg. She lays like a really dark red or really dark brown egg. Isn't she nice? Look, and if you can look at their feet and their color of their comb and stuff like that, that gives you an idea of like the coloring marking that they're going to have on their eggs as well. I call her lavender. So then I've got two more in here as well. I'm just going to pull them up. So this is the rope that I use to move this thing around with. I just pull it up a little bit like that. Okay. They've got a nesting box inside there, which they hardly use. They pretty much always lay on the floor. They've also got a roost in there. They like to get up a little bit higher. So there's a few things that I might change about the design of this if I was remaking it again, or when we remake it again on another day. But the idea is that it's really easy. Walk back here with me, Jennifer, so you can see. Oh, let's make sure. No, this is good. We're good. I don't want to let a chicken out accidentally. We did that already once. Chasing chickens around everywhere. So you've got some casters here, or whatever you call these, wheels, and a light frame where I can just attach this to the gator, and then it can be drugged to another garden out on the farm. And in the meantime, you can see, we can walk back this way again. You can see here that we've got tunnels with an angle, and then some more tunnels that go all the way down the garden way. And so then that gives me the ability to allow some livestock integration into my gardens all season long. That helps me with weed management in my footpaths. It also is going to take out some of the insects, not all of them because they're not going to get all, but it's going to take out some of the insects. It's going to take out some of the larvae. And in addition to that, it's going to add the dung, or the chicken poo, right? And so, as you all know, I use my footpaths as my compost in place. So one of the ways I'm actually going to get some fertilizer into my gardens is by next season when I go to clean up my footpaths and dig out my footpaths to use up on top of my, it's going to have a little bit of fertilizer down inside of it. And they've gone, you can see the paths that they've cleaned up. So I've moved them. They started down on this very first row and they've come row by row by row. And then of course you all know as you watch regularly that you have seen them in my backyard garden as well. So they've been around. Now, we were out here looking around this morning at the garden and looking at a lot of nice things. I've mentioned that this garden has changed in the way that I can use it. Jennifer gave me a great idea. I have a lot of good herbs in this garden. I have some pretty sage, I have borage, I have lemon balm, I have yarrow, lots of yarrow, parsley, all kinds of good herbs out here in this garden. And a lot of them I can actually use the big cut flowers. I can use those for cut flower arrangements, which that's one of the things if you're interested in supporting Freedom Harvest Farms and the work that it's just Aislinn, my business, the things I'm doing out here. You could order a flower arrangement from me. I'm happy to do $25 and I can meet up with you at a location that's for my convenience. I could do a nice bouquet for you for that. But I use a lot of the cut flowers for that. But another way to use some of the nice fragrant herbs would be to mix those into some of the cut flower arrangements as well. So that's something you could do. So thinking about ways to make money for your farm as you begin to use different products you have available as we begin to move into different months, as we move in past the spring and into the summer. How do I continue to keep some income coming in, right? So making these beautiful flower arrangements, adding some of those really fragrant herbs adds a smell to your flower arrangements that's really nice as well. If you're doing little tabletop arrangements, the shorter arrangements with the pretty smaller flowers and a nice little pop of lemon balm or cilantro or parsley or any of that, it's a really nice fragrance for your dinner table. And so that's not where you're actually consuming it, but you can still have the beauty and the fragrance of it. In addition to that, this is a great place to feed the chickens. Chickens are it's really good to feed your chickens herbs. All different kinds of herbs make your eggs even more delicious. I talk to you a lot of times about the nutrient density of the food that you're eating out here at the farm, and that's because of all of this biodiversity that we've been talking about, and because of the regenerative agriculture actually helps us to get nutrient dense food in our gardens. And because of that, we're looking at having a biodiversity of different types of tastes and different nutrient bases and things like that from the garden. And so giving your chickens all different types of herbs and plants is another good way to do that as well. So that's one way I can use those too. But thinking about all of the biodiversity is really important when you're talking about the integration of livestock and how do you use livestock in your production on your farm as well. So all right, let's head on over to the other garden. I just wanted to show you guys around. Also taking a chance to look around at how nice the trees are really coming out. The grapevines are doing well. They are starting to set grapes in some areas. Like here you go. Here's a grape right here. So these will be harvesting probably in like early July, mid-July. And this is a thing that we use to make the Spanish Lenoir wine. My dad does that. So, Jennifer, you mentioned our fig trees. We've got a huge fig harvest coming in June, probably the biggest one we've ever had. After the nice cold frozen winter that we had this year, well, it wasn't a frozen winter, but we had a nice freeze, and then we had a nice long cold winter. The fig trees are actually doing really, really well. And one of our fig trees that was a little bit smaller has now gotten significantly bigger. And so it's going to be a really good fig season this year. Before we pass over into this garden, I just want to show you, I'm always talking about mulching. You know that I had put some live oak leaf mulch down. That's a little bit, you know, there's going to be some, just like I have grubs and stuff underneath any of this, there's going to be some grubs and stuff underneath that. But really bringing this garden up, you guys have seen it over the last few weeks and the changes that have come. You know, this garden was originally planted in January, and so it's a brand new garden, so it's not overgrown yet. It doesn't have a lot of beautiful flowers growing in it, but it's looking really nice. I've got beans and peppers and some really pretty squash. This big spining squash that we did over here is hubbard squash. I'm going to have quite a bit of those. That is a giant, big squash, almost the size of, it looks like a giant, like dragon's egg. It's huge and it's blue. It's a really good southern pumpkin. It's a really good vining squash that we can grow that has the pumpkin flavor. And so what we'll do when we get these, because we're going to begin harvesting these in the summertime, which is traditionally early for wanting to have all your pumpkins and everything, right? Most people want their pumpkins a little closer to October and November. They will cure. That's one thing, is that you can leave them for a little while, but you're not going to want to leave them through the entire summer. And so what you'll do is go ahead and puree them and get them ready so that you have the stuff to make your pumpkin pies with. And that blue hubbard squash makes a really nice pumpkin pie, basically. It's got a great flavor for that too. So last night, Jennifer and I made a lovely dinner. Sorry about this. Can you get around that there? That's going to be a pumpkin, and that's a volunteer squash. If you've ever heard me talking about a volunteer plant, it's a plant that decided it wanted to come up there. Actually, those are my favorites, the ones that decide they want to come up there, because I always think that they're like survivors. Okay, so last night Jennifer and I made a really lovely dinner. We're going to talk about that on the podcast. And we used these beautiful squash, yellow squash, to make a pasta primavera with some broccoli and some mushrooms and some of the delicious onions that we're harvesting. We're all caught up over here. There we go. So this is really nice to be able to harvest this, and we do talk about nutrient density again, and the flavor of food. When you have good minerals in food, the salts, all of those things, it's really, you can tell that there's nutrient density in your food. And the reason you can tell that, it's just interesting because this is a north wind. That's why it's cool here today. Right?
It's really nice out.
Yeah, it's very nice out. So I also have these really, the corn is doing quite well, and it's got flowers on it. So now it's going to start cross-pollinating. And so that this wind that's coming through here is actually going to be a little bit helpful for the corn to pollinate and for me to get a really good corn setting. So as much as you hear me complaining about corn all the time, it might be a really good corn year. So this next time when I move my chickens out, I'll probably move them from that garden, once they finish that garden, over into this new garden, and they'll get to pick around in this new stuff and kind of eat any of the bugs that might be coming on in here. So lots and lots of pretty squash. I've also got zucchini. I think, look, there's a little bee friend right there. Hi, bee friend. Don't forget, we also are going to be harvesting our, speaking of livestock integration, I would consider bees a part of the livestock integration on a really good regenerative farm. We will be harvesting some honey. Our beekeeper that manages his hives out here and shares, and we share the honey. Ooh, let's kill this guy. Oh, wait, I wanted to see him. Where did he go? Oh, dang, I was going to show him to everybody. It was a squash vine borer in the moth version.
Oh shoot, he's over here.
Did you see him?
He went over there.
Okay, well, he's red, you guys. So if you see a little red moth in your gardens around your squash, squish him, because he's the one that goes down into the core of the plant and lays his larva inside of it, and then it'll just immediately one day the squash plant will be dead and it's just gone. Like, there's really not much you can do about it.
Devastating.
There's so like the larva is down inside the plant. There is not much I do about it. There's things people do, but I don't believe that there's I don't do a whole lot of investment in any kind of like weed, insect killers. You guys know that. I talk about that often, almost every week. So I want to get out of the wind coming this direction on me. So let's move this way. And like I said, I'll move my chickens up there into this garden this next year, and then that will begin bringing them into and bringing them into these gardens. I can also move them over here to this garden. It would be really easy to do that. So they're going to get moved around here pretty quickly in the next few weeks, as they, every other day or so I move them to a new spot. That's something to keep in mind when you're talking about integrating livestock. You're going to want to make sure that you're moving them around. Let's go here. Sorry. Well, the challenges about something like that, right? You have to have some kind of way to manage them. So there's ideas of using, let's see, like electric fencing. You can use, depending on how many animals you're talking about. So each one of your areas, like if you're talking about your pasture and you're using the haddocks, the paddocks. What is the word? Is it haddocks or paddocks? I always get it confused. Paddock. That's right. Okay. For some reason I was saying haddock for a while, and I was like, and then I heard a farmer talking, and I was like, I think I'm using the wrong word. I think I'm saying it wrong. So, so you basically have the fenced or trapped area, the paddock, which is where you have them that day, right? Then you want to move them the next day, and that's the really high level when you have a lot of animals, mob grazing they call it. You put them all really close together, but you move them every single day. That's one of the ways to integrate into your pastures and your fields and all of that kind of stuff. You okay back there? Just having a giggle and a laugh, and it's windy and all kinds of things.
I swallowed my hair.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Welcome to the farm. Here we are. And it's probably because your hair is like blown in the wind, like in your face, and you're trying to like hold your hands, and yeah. So, okay. So if we're talking about having integrated livestock into your pastures and things like that, they're going to help with you keeping better grass in your pastures for having different animals. And a lot of people will do, especially farmers that have multiple types of livestock, might have chickens, cows, and pigs as well, but rotate them through in a stage. Basically, there's a rotation of animals. So like first you might do the chickens on it, and then you might do the cows on it, then you might do the pigs on it. Don't quote me on that because they probably do it in a completely different order. But there's a method and a way to do it in an order that, say, you know, the pigs are going to root up things, and the chickens are going to scratch up things, and the cows are going to stomp down things, right? And you want to make sure that the right kind of food is in there first. So if you, let's say you put in a summer crop of black-eyed peas, and you might let the cows go in first and eat some of that up, and then you might let the pigs go in and kind of root some stuff around, and then you would let the chickens go in and just kind of dig, and all three of that poop, but you have to do it in like a rotational grazing type of thing, so that you put them in there in that way. You can also, an arable crop would be like a pea crop, a cowpea crop would be an example of that. And that's something you would do on a larger scale. And then you might come in after you've done all that, and then go ahead and then at that point put in your garden for the next year, or your field, or your vegetable field, or whatever for the next year, or put something that can handle like a cover crop that can just give it a season of being fallow, but it's still got that coverage on it, because remember, in the regenerative agriculture principles, we always want to have armor on our garden, so you're always going to have something on there. So even if the animals come through and do a little bit of the destruction, you're going to go back in and plant something that can live after they've been in there, before you let it just completely go bare, right? That's something you always want to do. So this is my beautiful garden. I've got eggplants sitting over here. Pretty little Ichiban eggplant plants are going. Lots of nice peppers. Got some nice big Anaheim peppers going over here. My shishito peppers are looking really good. I'm starting to harvest green beans. So I'm harvesting squash, green beans. I'm still harvesting carrots. Last night I harvested lettuce, arugula, nasturtium, and we made a salad in addition to the squash that we harvested for the pasta. So lots of good things that are still coming out of the garden. Beets, chard. I'm getting to the end of planting. I'm just now saying, okay, well, what's left to plant? We're going to plant okra. We're going to plant black-eyed peas. We're going to plant maybe the last of our pumpkins, the last of our watermelon, any of those cantaloupe, stuff like that. So that's the last of the stuff that I'm planting. And then I'm going to be focused. I switched from focusing on planting to focusing on harvesting flowers, harvesting all of my different fruits and stuff like that. It's really nice to have the fruiting trees like pears and figs, because that extends you even further into the summertime as well. If you've got a lot of watermelons and pumpkins, that extends your production and food production into the summertime as well. So when you hear me talking about, you know, staying in permaculture and always having all different types of things growing, it's because keeping your garden in production year round is good not just for you to have a product to sell. So one of the things we talked about on the podcast was the sixth principle that the holistic management and other people talk about is context, and that's making sure that your farm is sustainable and viable and an income stream, as well as your ability to maintain it. And if you're not able to maintain it because of the cost, it's okay if you leave it, it's fine. That's an essential part of keeping a really good a regenerative farm that can continue to maintain itself, is that having a sustainable income stream. So there's all of these different aspects of keeping your farm healthy that are important to planting year round. So planting flowers so that in the summertime you still have product to sell. Planting fruit trees so that in the summertime you still have product to sell, even as your vegetables are going and the insects are really setting in or whatever's happening with that. So beautiful hedgerow of sunflowers that have come up. You know, I've been working on this stuff over here for my roselle and all of that. I'm starting to see the tomato growth really happen really well. I've got my fig trees in here. And then of course in the back here, we also have the animals. We've got the livestock, the steers, the ducks, and the pigs as well. I don't think there's anybody back there right now, but you have to, well, actually, right there. We're working on this fence line back here, getting it pulled so that the animals don't try to pass over the fence line and come into my garden. That would be a really sad day. And they were breaking the fence line down. They were pushing it over. We are actually, I know this might be a little bit sad for everybody, but we're actually going to let the sheep go for a while because of the changes of people living out here on the farm and the just being wise about how we handle things and move forward. We're going to let the sheep, we're going to get the sheep taken care of. They're not dying. They're going back to a different owner, one of the owners that was involved in the project with us. And then we'll come back to that. I have a very strong feeling that we will come back to having the sheep again someday, whenever it works out for that and the timing of that. I really enjoyed that, and I want to have them out there. So now, of course, you can see that the chickens get to come and go. We can go in there and feed them, because that's why they're yelling at us right now. It's because they want to be fed. There's the pigs. Look, do you see the pigs? Try not to turn my mic to the wind. So they're over there rooting around, digging up things. So they do a completely different type of eating and digging. All the different animals, the way the sheep eat. The sheep go along and eat, you know, the grass really low, and then pigs dig things up, and all the different animals have a different way. All that different biodiversity is different on the farm. Of course, there's stuff on you. Oh my God. All right. Everybody's so jogging. All right. Okay, so now that I've got those critters not going so crazy, I want to remind you, Jennifer, will you come over there so that we're not in the wind so much? So that I'm not in the wind so much? Even though, let's get where we can see, y'all can still see the chickens. All right, so Mondays are still going to be happening like normal. Garden healing. If you want to come get with me in person because you want to see the gardens in person, or because you want to hug me and talk to me in person about what's potentially been going on with the big changes here at the farm. Mondays are really good. Monday mornings are garden healing, and then Monday afternoons, we're going to start pushing the Monday afternoons really later. So we might start meeting for garden healing more around like 4 o'clock, even 5 o'clock, even after work time. You could come out this time of year as it starts to get warmer. So just DM me and check in with me and make sure all that's good. I also am going to have any extra produce or eggs or anything like that I have. That's going to be available on Mondays. So Monday's a good day to come out to the farm. Either early in the morning or earlier in the morning, or late in the afternoon is always good. You could also come out and have lunch with me if you wanted to. I'm asking for a BYO right now because I'm just really making sure everything is top notch as I move forward. And so sharing is probably the best way to do that. It's always been the best way, but it's really the best way now, even more than anything. don't forget, the podcast is going to be coming out tomorrow. You're going to get to hear a little bit more details about some of the changes that are going on there. Nothing major, but you'll definitely hear a difference at the dinner table. And also, if you're looking for some coaching help or some consulting help, I've got that going on. I've got a lot of people signing up for that kind of stuff. We're still in my springtime of special, where I'm doing a special price for that. So if you've got any questions about anything, you can check out my website, aislingcampbell.com. Sign up for my emails. We're going to keep all that stuff running. And it's if you go to aislingcampbell.com, it's going to pop up and ask you to sign up for my emails. Sign up for those. You should be seeing an email very soon. Also, don't forget, April 29th, which is coming up in 2 Saturdays, I am having a class out here, an organic farming class out here. It's $44 for a carload. So fill your car up with all your friends and come out to the farm. You can split it up. It's really super easy pricing. So lots and lots of things going on. Go over to aislingcampbell.com to find out more, or just connect with me. I'm so easy to touch base with. I love you guys. If you're on YouTube, subscribe now and give me a like. I'll see you soon.
That's a wrap.
I love you. Thank you.